My name is J.D. Hokoyama, and I just retired as the president and CEO of LEAP on November 1st, 2011. And so now I'm semi-retired and doing consulting work. As I became involved in the community in the 70s, and especially when I became involved with JCL and worked for the national organization and started there in 1978, it became pretty obvious that Asian Pacific Americans were really invisible and that we were not in leadership positions in the larger society. There were obviously leaders in our own communities, but those leaders didn't translate into anything larger than just our own community organizations. I got involved with a number of folks in 1980. I had come back from San Francisco. I'd been working with the Japanese American Citizens League. And when I came back to Southern California, there were folks that were involved with talking about developing leaders in the Asian and Pacific Islander community. At all the events that people were going to, we kept seeing the same people over and over again. And so we started to ask ourselves the question, so how do we develop new people? How do we get new people involved with us? We decided that we wanted to be very proactive and actually do leadership training. So actually train people on sort of the skills they need to be an effective leader. We also knew that as Asian and Pacific Islanders, we had to also know the issues about our community. We founded LEAP in 1982. And in 1988, then the organization asked me if I was interested in taking over as the president and CEO, and I decided to leave the university and to come work for LEAP. At LEAP, currently, we're conducting research on Asian and Pacific Islander representation on Fortune 100 boards, on the top 100 foundations, and on the top 100 of the largest nonprofits in the United States. And in each one of those sectors, our representation on those boards is around 2%, very, very small. And so in many ways, we have no voice in those organizations. People still don't see us, so we're in essence still invisible. And until we can get more people on corporate boards, until we can get more Asians in executive level positions, in C-level positions, whether they're the CEO, CFO, COO, CIO, we're just not going to be seen as part of the folks who are actually calling the shots, who are running the organizations. Yes, we're great individual contributors, but we need to be more than that. And so what we wanted to do with these reports is to highlight the fact that there are very, very few Asians that are on these boards, and it's the boards that are the decision-making bodies for these companies or for these foundations or for these nonprofit organizations. The importance of API leadership is one that is going to give us visibility. I think that's the most important thing. We need to develop more leaders so our community can be visible. Not only in our country, but in the world. You know, there's this great quote that says, insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. Well, if you have the same people making the same decisions and doing the same thing over and over again, it's not surprising that we keep getting the same results. And what diversity and inclusion speak to is that we have different voices maybe adding to this mix, and maybe then we'll get some different results. This country is now a huge mixture of people from all over the world, but we're not using all of those voices, and I think it's really important. So as Asian and Pacific Islanders, we have to then be at the table. The single greatest life experience that really changed my entire outlook on what I wanted to do with my life was when I joined the Peace Corps. And I served in Ethiopia from 1967 to 1969. And what I found out was, when I went over there, was how little I knew about anything. I grew up in Los Angeles. I thought I was pretty sophisticated. I went over to Ethiopia and found out I virtually knew nothing about the world. And it was a very humbling experience. But what those 2 years in Ethiopia taught me, one, it forced me to have a global vision of the world, a vision of the world that I had never knew anything about. It forced me to understand that people are the same no matter where they are. All people want the same things. They want to be happy, they want to have a good job, they want to be able to raise their families, that people are really no different from us here in the U.S. When I left the Peace Corps said, people are going to ask you, so what did you do over here in the 2 years that you were here? And they said it would be helpful if you could have some sort of answer for them. And in thinking about that long and hard, I realized that the only thing that I did was I gave people hope. And then I realized that hope is the greatest gift one person can give to another person. And that to be able to empower people, to let them know that they don't have to stay where they are, that they can do something about whatever their situation is. I think you have to do what you're passionate about. That you have to be happy in what you do. Because if you're happy in your work, then you don't feel like you're even working. And to me, anybody who has the opportunity to follow their passion realizes that this is the only way to go. You can't blame it on somebody else and say, oh, well, I was only doing what my parents said, or I was only doing what my friends told me to do. That ultimately you have to take accountability for what you do with the time that you have. LEAP is about getting people empowered so that they could do what they wanted to do. And to me, that's one of the most important things that the organization, I believe, has done. In some ways, I think our community is losing its soul. And what I mean by that is that we have such an emphasis in our community for our children to be doctors and lawyers and engineers, that we're not encouraging people to go into the arts, to be musicians, to be writers, people who can sort of capture who the Asian American community is. I think there are a lot of different ways that you can look at success. So to me, success could be somebody who is running a nonprofit organization that is helping young people to read. Success is coaching sports and helping kids to understand that it's not only about winning, but it's how you actually play the game. That success is, yes, being a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. Yes, success is being a politician, a visible politician. And we have some, but we certainly don't have enough. And we need them at all sectors, whether it's at the national level or the local level, but we need more. So we need to be able to see success and our community in all different kinds of ways. Too often now, leaders, if something goes wrong, they always are looking for scapegoats. And to me, that's not what leadership is. You have to be accountable. You get the glory, and you also get the criticism. If you make a mistake, you got to stand up there and say, you know what, this was not a good thing I did, or I made the wrong decision. And it doesn't mean it's the end of the world, but it's something that as a leader, that's all part of the whole package. It's just not being able to do things when everything is going well. Leadership is not about just making myself successful. It's about making myself successful so that I can help other people become successful as well. The shortened version of LEAP's mission is growing leaders, and that's really what we're all about and what we've been trying to do for the past 30 years. It's really exciting that we're celebrating our 30th anniversary, and but the work goes on.